productions. In October, under the strong leadership of the Central Committee of Communist Party of China, the major indicators of economy has a good progress and recovery. All regions, under the leadership of CPC, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, all regions and departments strictly implemented the decisions and arrangements made by the CPC Central Committees, adhere to the general principle of pursuing progress while ensuring stability, with synergy created by the existing policies and incremental policies unfolding. Major economic indicators of consumption, services, and imports and exports recovered remarkably. Employment rate and prices were basically stable. Social expectations continued to improve. High-quality development witnessed solid progress, and positive factors were accumulated. The national economy registered steady progress and recovery. 1. Industrial production saw a stable momentum of growth, and equipment manufacturing and high-tech manufacturing grew fast. In October, the total value added of the industrial enterprises above the designated size grew by 5.3% year-on-year, 0.1 percentage points lower than that of last month, or up by 0.41% month-on-month. In terms of sectors, the value-added mining went up by 4.6% year-on-year, manufacturing up by 5.4%, and production and supply of electricity, thermal power, gas, and water up by 5.4%. The value-added of equipment manufacturing increased by 6.6% year-on-year, and that of high-tech manufacturing increased by 9.4%. An analysis by types of ownership showed that the value-added of state-holding enterprises was up by 3.8% year-on-year, and shareholding enterprises was up by 5.9%. That of the enterprises funded by foreign investors and investors from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan was up by 2.9%. And private enterprises was up by 4.8%. In terms of products, the production of new energy vehicles, industrial robots, and integrated circuits grew by 48.6%, 33.4%, and 11.8% respectively. In the first 10 months, the total value added of the industrial enterprises above the designated size went up by 5.8% year-on-year, at the same as that of the first 9 months. In October, manufacturing purchase managers index stood at 50.1%, 0.3 percentage points higher than that of the last month. The production and operation expectation index was 54%, 2 percentage points higher. In the first 9 months, the total profits made by the industrial enterprises above the designated size was 5,228.2 billion yuan, down by 3.5% year-on-year. Second, service sector accelerated notably, and modern services developed well. In October, the index of services production grew by 6.3% year-on-year, 1.2 percentage points higher than that of last month. Specifically, that of financial intermediation, information transformation, software and information technology services, and leasing and business services grew by 10.2%, 9.5%, and 8.8% year-on-year respectively, which is 3.9 percentage points, 3.2 percentage points, and 2.5 percentage points faster than that of the index of service production. In the first 10 months, the index of service production increased by 5% year-on-year, 0.1 percentage points faster than that of the first 9 months. In the first 9 months, the business revenue of service enterprises above the designated size went up by 7.2% year-on-year. In October, the business activity index for services was 50.1%, 0.2 percentage points higher than that of the last month. The business activity expectation index for service was 56.2%, 1.6 percentage points higher. Specifically, the business activity index for railway transportation, water transportation, air transportation, postal service, capital market services, ecological protection, and public facilities management stayed within the high expansion range of 55% and above. Third, market sales recovered rapidly, and the sales of trading goods accelerated. In October, the total retail sales of the consumer goods reached 4,539.6 billion yuan, up by 4.8% year-on-year, 1.6 percentage points higher than that of the last month, or up by 0.41% month-on-month. Analyzed by different areas, the retail sales of consumer goods in urban areas reached 3,925.5 billion yuan, up by 4.7% year-on-year, and that in rural areas reached 614.1 billion yuan, up by 4.9%. Grouped by types of consumption, the retail sales of goods were 4,044.4 billion yuan, up by 5%. The income of catering was 495.2 billion yuan, up by 3.2%. Upgraded sales sold well. The retail sales of the cosmetics and sports and recreational articles by enterprises above the designated size went up by 40.1% and 26.7% respectively. Driven by the trade-in programs of the consumer goods, retail sales of household appliances, audio, video equipment, culture and office supplies, furniture and automobiles by enterprise above the designated size went up by 39.2%, 18%, 7.4%, 3.7% respectively, which is 18.7 percentage points, 8 percentage points, 7 percentage points, and 3.3 percentage points higher than that of last month respectively. In the first 10 months, the total retail sales of consumer goods reached 39,896 billion yuan, up by 3.5% year-on-year, 0.2 percentage points faster than that of the first 9 months. The online retail sales was 12,363.2 billion yuan, up by 8.8% year-on-year. Online retail sales physical goods were 10,333 billion yuan, up by 8.3%. Fourth, investment in fixed assets increased steadily with fast growth in high-tech industries. In the first 10 months, the investment in fixed assets, excluding rural households, reached 42,322.2 billion yuan, up by 3.4% year-on-year. The same as that of the first 9 months. The investment in fixed assets was up by 7.6%, with the investment in real estate development deducted. Specifically, the investment in infrastructure grew by 4.3% year-on-year, that in manufacturing grew by 9.3%, and that in real estate development declined by 10.3%. The floor space of newly built commercial buildings sold was 779.3 million square meters, down by 15.8% year-on-year, which is 1.3 percentage points lower compared with that of the first 9 months. The total sale of newly built commercial buildings were 7,685.5 billion yuan, down by 20.9%, 1.8 percentage points lower. By industry, the investment in the primary industry went up by 2.5% year-on-year, that in the secondary industry up by 12.2%, and that in the tertiary industry down by 0.9%. The private investment declined by 0.3% year-on-year, increased by 6.3% with the investment in real estate development deducted. The investment in high-tech industry grew by 9.3% year-on-year, of which the investment in high-tech manufacturing and high-tech services grew by 8.8% and 10.6%. In terms of high-tech manufacturing, the investment in manufacturing of aerospace vehicle and equipment in manufacturing of electronic and communication equipment grew by 34.5% and 9.4% respectively. In terms of high-tech services, investment in professional technical services and in e-commerce services grew by 32% and 16.3% respectively. In October, the investment in fixed assets, excluding rural households, increased by 0.16% month-on-month. Fifth, imports and exports of goods grew fast and trade structure continued to optimize. In October, the total value of imports and exports of goods was 3,700.7 billion yuan, up by 4.6% year-on-year. The value of exports was 2,189.9 billion yuan, up by 11.2%, and the value of imports was 1,510.8 billion yuan, down by 3.7%. In the first 10 months, the total value of imports and exports of goods was 36,021.9 billion yuan, up by 5.2% year-on-year. The total value of exports was 20,802.8 billion yuan, up by 6.7%. The total value of imports was 15,219.1 billion yuan, up by 3.2%. In the first 10 months, the imports and exports of general trade went up by 3.9%, accounting for 64.1% of the total value of imports and exports. The imports and exports by private enterprises went up by 9.3%, accounting for 50.1% of the total value, 2.1 percentage points higher than the same period of last year. The export of mechanical and electrical products went up by 8.5%, accounting for 59.4% of the total value. 6. Employment was generally stable and urban surveyed unemployment rate declined. In the first 10 months, the urban surveyed unemployment rate averaged 5.1%. In October, the urban surveyed unemployment rate was 5%, 0.1 percentage point lower than that of the previous month. The surveyed unemployment rate of population with local household registration was 5.1%, and that of the population with non-local household registration was 4.8%. The urban surveyed unemployment rate in 31 major cities was 5%, and the employees of enterprises worked 48.6 hours per week on average. 7. Consumer price increased slightly, and producer prices for industrial products declined year-on-year. In October, the consumer price index, CPI, went up by 0.3% year-on-year, 0.1 percentage points lower than that of last month. Grouped by commodity categories, price for food, tobacco, and alcohol were up by 2% year-on-year, clothing up by 1.1%, housing down by 0.1%, articles and services for daily use up by 0.1%, transportation and communication down by 4.8%. Education, culture, and entertainment up by 0.8%, medical service and healthcare up by 1.1%, other articles and services up by 4.7%. Among the price for food, tobacco, and alcohol, the price for grain went down by 0.7%. Fresh fruits up by 4.7%, pork up by 14.2%, fresh vegetables up by 21.6%. The core CPI, excluding the prices of food and energy, went up by 0.2% year-on-year, 0.1 percentage points higher than that of last month. In the first 10 months, the CPI went up by 0.3% year-on-year. In October, the producer prices for industrial products went down by 2.9% year-on-year, or down by 0.1% month-on-month. The purchasing price for an industrial producer went down by 2.7% year-on-year. In the first 10 months, the producer prices and purchasing prices for industrial products both dropped by 2.1% compared with that of the same period last year. Generally speaking, with the accelerated implementation of the existing policies and the introduction of a raft of incremental policies in October, the national economy shows stable growth. However, we should be aware that the external environment is increasingly complicated and severe. Effective demand are still weak at home, and the foundation for continuous economic recovery needs to be strengthened. At the next stage, we must follow the guidance of the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, fully implement the guiding principles of the 20th CPC National Congress and second and third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee, adhere to the principle of pursuing progress while ensuring stability, and fully and faithfully apply the new development philosophy on all fronts. We must advance the high-quality development in solid steps, accelerate the efforts to create new pattern of development, and enhance the momentum for economic recovery and growth, and achieve the annual target of economic and social development. Thank you very much. And now we are open for questions. Before you ask, please notify your affiliations.
How do you see the economic performance in October? What were the highlights? Thank you for your questions. Since this year, the international situation is complicated and severe. The global economic recovery is sluggish. The monetary policy of major economies has entered into the cycle of interest rate cut. The trade protectionism, unilateralism, and geopolitical confrontation has complicated the situation and adding more uncertainties. The domestic economy is at the crucial time of adjusting the structure, and we're transforming from the traditional driving forces to new driving forces. So we are facing more risks and challenges. And the Central Committee of the CPC has made science-based decisions, especially after the meetings convened by the Political Bureau on 26 September. And we have launched a package of incremental policies to improve the major indicators and market confidence. And from the indicators of October, we can see rebounds in 3 aspects and the stability in 2 aspects and the boost in 1 aspect. The 3 rebounds are rebounds in the market sales, service industry, and export and import volume. In terms of the market sales, the total retail sales of consumer goods in October increased by 4.8%, 1.6 percentage points higher than last month, and the retail sales of commodities increased by 5%, 1.7 percentage points higher than last month. From January to October, the retail sales of service industry increased by 6.5%. The growth rate is higher than that of commodities. In terms of service industry, the production index of service industry in October increased by 6.3%, 1.2 percentage points higher than last month. It is the highest increase since this year, and driven by the incremental policies, the production index of wholesale and retail and industry increased by 10.2%, 6.2%, and 0.8%. And from the perspective, in terms of the export and import, against the backdrop of a sluggish global trade, the goods trade of our country continues to show advantages. The export and import of volume of October increased by 4.6% year-on-year, 3.9 percentage points faster than last month. And the 2 stable means the stable in the industry and the investment, and another one is stable in the price and employment. In October, our industry and investment remain stable, playing a crucial role in the stable operation of the economy. The large-scale equipment renewals and with the industrial upgrading, the value added of the companies above designated size in October increased by 5.3%. And in terms of the investment, we have seen sound momentum in the investment in key areas. And from January to October, the fixed assets investment increased by 3.4% year-on-year. And the investment in the manufacturing industry increased by 9.3%, 0.1 percentage points higher than last month. And we've also seen a faster growth of the investment in high-tech manufacturing industries. The price and the employment stability are also very important for the stable economic operation. The surveyed urban unemployment rate in October was 5%, 0.1 percentage point lower than last month. And the rate of the population with non-local agriculture household registrations was 4.7%. And in terms of the CPI, affected by the downturn of price of some food and energy price, the CPI in October grew by 0.3%. And the core CPI, excluding the prices for food and energy, increased by 0.2%. The one boost means the boost in the market confidence. And affected by the incremental policies, and we have seen a significant boost in the market confidence in October, in particular in the active transaction in the stock market and property market. In terms of the real estate market, the sales of new homes and second-hand housing increased significantly. From January to October, the floor space of newly built commercial buildings sold, and the total sales increased by the decline of this narrowed by 1.3 and 1.8 percentage point. And in terms of the capital market, the turnover and the trading volume of the stock market of Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets increased by 1.5 times. And in terms of the business entities, the PMI in October was 50.1%, 0.3 percentage point higher than last month. This is for the first time since May this year, the PMI returned to the expansion range. And in terms of the expectation of consumers, the confidence index of consumers increased by 1.2%. All these changes will stimulate the vitality of the market. Generally speaking, in October, with the implementation of various policies, and we have seen a boost in our confidence and a growth in our industry and our demand, but we still face many difficulties in the operation of companies and in effective domestic demands. Next, we will further earnestly implement the arrangement and decision made by the CPC Central Committee to enhance macro control and to further give a play of the incremental policies to expand the domestic demand. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from CCTV. Since the end of September, we have introduced a series of incremental policies. What has these policies done to the economy? And thank you for your question. We have introduced a series of incremental policies to boost the economic development. It is safe to say, due to what we have in existing policies and the introduction of incremental policies, the major economic indicators show good progress in October. Expectation is improved. We have more positive factors in the economy, and the momentum for economic recovery is also there. So it's safe to say the effect of these policies are taking effects and making good progress, mainly in four aspects. The first aspect is the expansion of domestic demand. Since the beginning of October, the security capability building in major strategy and major fields, as well as renewal in equipment and consumer products trading policy, we have tapped into the potential of consuming and investment for boosting economic development. From consuming products under the boost of the trading policy in October, audio and video equipment, automobile culture, and office supply and furniture retailing has been growing for 39.2%, 3.7%, 18%, and 7.4% respectively. And it is an obvious increase compared with September. In investment, with the large-scale renewal of the instrument and equipment, the investment increase is 16.1%. Its contribution for investment increase is over 60%. And we are making progress in this regard, as well as boosted the investment in infrastructure. From January to October, the investment in infrastructure has witnessed a 4.3% increase, and we can say this is the first increase for a long period. The second one is boost in products. In October, new energy vehicles, home appliances related to trade-in policies has realized relatively faster growth, among which the new energy vehicle has realized a 48.6%